why do people see the world differently when they in fact live in exactly the same world? In the old days, people used to be exposed to exactly the same information from television or media or books. Today, people can construct their own world by selecting the information that they like and ignore the information that they don't like. So what happens today is people get more and more extreme and entrenched in their positions, and they believe other people endorse the same things they do, and so they become more confident in what they believe, so it becomes much more difficult to influence them and persuade them, which is what I've been studying in my research. It's more difficult today to change people's opinions, I think, than it used to be, because people have their own information and they become much more entrenched in their own environments. And so one of the key things is getting people to take a step back and to think about information in a new way, or for the first time sometimes. And so one way to do that is to instill doubt in someone's opinion. And so instead of just attacking their position immediately, what you might try to do is give your arguments, and as they start to counter-argue them, if you had something in the environment that made them feel less confident in what they were thinking, in some of our research, we would have people shake their heads from side to side while they're thinking. And if they shake their heads, even though they're having thoughts, they're starting to doubt those thoughts. And that's good for influence, because if they doubt their counter-arguments to your position, they're going to be more susceptible to influence. The key thing that we study in our research is whether persuasion is thoughtful or not so thoughtful. And so something simple like how attractive the source of a message is can work in a non-thoughtful way. And so if you're not thinking about the attractive source, you might like anything an attractive source endorses. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's relevant or not. But if you're thinking carefully, then the relevance of that source to what they're arguing makes a difference. And so if an attractive person is giving a message for a beauty product, that makes sense, and you can think about that carefully and how it relates. But if they're giving an argument for why you should bank at a certain bank, you should discard that. And people do that if they're thinking carefully. They don't do that if they're not thinking carefully. It's important that we understand why people think or not think, because the more we think about our attitudes, the more strong those attitudes become, the more long-lasting they are, and the more they resist attempts at changing them. So understanding what gets people to think or not think is very important. In addition to creating doubt, which causes people to think, another way to get people to think is to make the message much more relevant to them. So you try to connect the message to them in a very intense way. And so people see this anecdotally. I'm from Ohio State University. We have a senator in Ohio who opposed gay marriage for the longest time. And then all of a sudden one day, his son tells him that he's gay. And within 2 weeks, it seems like he had completely changed his position on that, because he looked into it and decided it was a matter of equality. And so that personal relevance, that personal connection allowed him to rethink the issue. And so one of the things we try to do in persuasion is to show how a message is relevant to you, and that can get you to think about it in a new way. Technology is so rapidly evolving and changing that it changes the way persuasion happens. Again, in the old days, people all used to get the same message, right? You'd watch your television set, a commercial would come on, it'd be the same commercial for everybody. Today, with the internet, advertisers can much more carefully tailor and target their message to particular demographics. And that's important because, as I mentioned earlier, if you can create some perception of relevance, this message is talking to me, that gets you to be much more careful and deliberative and thoughtful about the message. So technology, in that sense, is making persuasion a bit easier.